Let us know when you're ready.
Matt, you want to do?
All right, I'm ready.
invocation? Okay. He's got it right.
Father God, we come to you tonight, the most humble, the most proud. We want to do the work of the people. We need your guidance, Lord. Look over us, be with us. Grant us the words, grant us the wisdom, and the peace that we need to get the business done for the people of this district. It's in your name we pray.
And we're going to begin the Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee. Present, myself as chair. Vice chair is Mr. Harding. And also on the committee is Dr. Traha. Also in attendance, Mr. Hamner, Mr. Ford, the superintendent, and members of his staff. Excuse me. Well, we need a call. Do we need a call order? Call to order? Oh, well, we don't need a roll call.
You can say, you said who's in attendance.
Okay, right. Okay, I'm thinking the other meeting. All right, number 2, consideration of approval for use of Southdown Elementary School gym and Terrebonne High School baseball field. I think we have Mr. Eddie Vera here. I'm going to go ahead and read the recommendation, and then we'll give you an opportunity,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Thanks.
The committee recommends that the board approve the request of Thibodeau Baseball Association to waive policy file E1.6, use of school facilities, relative to the usage fees for school facilities for the Southdown Elementary School gym and Terrebonne High School baseball field for referee training for Louisiana High School Athletic Association on January 20, 2024, from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. for training only, provided that the organization reimburse Terrebonne Parish School District for all related custodial costs, all necessary insurance, nonprofit status, and all other school board policy requirements are met, and approval is obtained from the school's principal.
So moved.
So moved, Dr. Traha. Second, Mr. Harding. And public comments, so Mr. Vera.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Waza, and to the board members. Thank you for having me this evening. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. I've been working closely with Ms. Nakan through this process. As part of a professional development as per the Louisiana High School Athletic Association, it's our turn to host a training, have a training. My name is Eddie Vera, V-E-R-A. I'm the regional coordinator of officials for the Thibodeau Baseball Association. And my duties are to recruit, train, where we're at right now with this proposal, retain and schedule officials accordingly. And that service is provided throughout all of Terrebonne Parish. Other parishes as well, Lafourche, St. Mary, a couple of other individual schools. We roughly have approximately 48 officials, and it's obviously I'm presenting myself here to for your consideration, as it is a required training. It is a service we provide the parish, and I've met the requirements as directed by Ms. Nakan. You know, as you know, as I mentioned, it is a professional development, but given the talent of this area, as some of you may know, and it's good to see a couple of familiar faces here. There's what is it, 4 or 5 state champions we have in this area the past 2 seasons. The quality of play, it's just requires the need for us to better ourselves, and obviously to present the schools and, you know, the teams the product they require of us to execute our duties. And do you anybody have any questions of me?
So it is for the tri-parish area, the referees, you know, Lafourche, Terrebonne, and...
Yes, sir. The training would be hosted or held at Terrebonne High School.
Correct.
We do service Terrebonne, Lafourche, St. Mary, and a couple of individual outlying schools.
Very good.
But the bulk of our teams are Terrebonne Parish.
Okay. Dr. Traha, you have anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding? Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll support this. I think being a official and been a high school basketball official over 30-some years, I think it's a good cause that we can actually facilitate these officials. And like you said, it benefits us as a whole. It makes sure that we have qualified, trained officials that's out there every night. I know this gentleman, I know he does a great job with his officials, so I would greatly support this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Harding. Any other board members? Yes, Mr. Ford.
Just to echo what Greg said, I mean, we have a lot of talent in this area, and getting good qualified officials that actually show up every night is a challenge. So I know the recruiting aspect is a big deal for you guys, and it's a Saturday in January. We're not going to be using that place, honestly. Just take care of it as if it's your own, and hope you guys have a good turnout.
Thank you so much
Yep,
for your
thank you.
consideration.
Any other board members?
Thank you, Mr. Bubba. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks for your organizing and all you do. Appreciate
Thank
it.
y'all so much for your consideration.
Yes, sir.
Merry Christmas to y'all.
Any other public comments? Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 3, consideration of approval of change orders for Hurricane Ida recovery. That's by Hammerman and Gaynor. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following change orders for Hurricane Ida recovery projects and authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. And the following bullets. So moved. Do we need to read the
Second.
bullets? Okay, I guess not. Moved by Mr. Harding, second by Dr. Traha. Any public comments? Mr. Harding? Dr. Traha?
No.
Any other board members?
Can you explain these change orders?
Well, I can read them. That's what the 4 bullets are for, but if that's what you want me to do.
Yeah,
Andy is here. He's got the Montagues, the H.F. Bourgeois.
Okay,
And I can speak to the Broadmoor and Merle here for the South.
okay. Do you want me to read them or just have them come up and explain?
yeah, I can read them. I
Okay.
just want to, just
So,
kind of what they for.
Andy, would you mind speaking to these change orders, please?
Good evening, everyone. Andy Positeri with Grove Flores Positeri Architecture. The first bullet item, there's actually 2 for this site. The first bullet item is going to be primarily for quantity adjustments. When we did our room-by-room assessments probably a year ago now, again, we went room by room, and in a 700-square-foot classroom, for example, we may have identified 10% of ceiling tile and 20% of floor tile. Well, that equals a square footage. Once we bid the project, the contractor got on site, there were some quantities that, just by virtue of additional time in that condition, where the contractor either replaced more than what was in the plans or less. And in the backup for that change order, there is a spreadsheet that's got a literal room-by-room analysis of what was planned, the planned quantity, the final in-place quantity, and that net, either that net add or that net deduct. And then that was totaled for dollar values based on square footage prices.
So is this an amount of money that we submit to FEMA for repairs?
It is all, so that first change order is all FEMA eligible costs. And so as I appreciated you, FEMA would cover the 90% of that change order amount. And I believe there's language to that effect in the bullet.
then-
Yeah.
See if I can put this correctly. Who covers the extra 10%?
It's the same as any other change order that you've approved in the past, so the district would cover the 10%.
So our end would go up by 10%?
Yes, sir,
this amount?
yes, sir, correct. Local funds, $22,570.55.
So, what did you say was the reason for the original estimate versus this one?
It's just the delta or the difference between final in-place quantity of damaged items versus the assessed quantities of floor tile, of ceiling tile, of paint, of sheet rock, things like that. Most of this number is actually in sheet rock pricing. At Montague Middle School, there was a significant amount of sheet rock damage on the interior wall of the main corridors.
But
that
what
were
I'm
not-
hearing you say is that this is additional sheetrock damage that they found after they did the initial assessment?
Yes.
How come they didn't find it in the beginning when,
It just wasn't visible from the ground when we walked through the first time. Once the contractor actually got on scaffolds and got hand's length away from the sheetrock starts at 10 feet up. So walking through, that's not something that's readily visible, but it is damage caused by the storm.
well, I know that. I just was curious, you know, how it gets missed from the get-go.
I wouldn't call it missed, it just wasn't visible at first. Wasn't evident.
So it was missed.
I'd probably differ, but okay.
You say it your way, I'll say it my way. Tomato, tomato.
Fair enough.
Okay. What's the next one?
The second bullet also applies to Montague Middle School. However, this is damage that was discovered that we do not feel, and by we, I mean us, Mr. Curtis, Adam, the staff here, that would be eligible by FEMA. And at Montague Middle, around the perimeter of the roof, there's what I'm going to call an internal gutter. In other words, at your house, you may have a gutter that you can see from the outside. Well, this gutter, when the building was originally designed, has an internal gutter system that you can't see from the ground. It's hidden. There was some significant rust, deterioration in some spots. That water was leaking through that gutter and migrating back into a handful of classrooms. And so we're recommending that while we're doing all this work, that gutter be repaired by installing some ice and water shield and then a new stainless steel gutter insert so that that gutter's properly functioning and not leaking anymore. But that damage was there long before the hurricane. And so that the reason why this is shown as a separate change order is because all of this fund would be borne by the district, because this is not, we do not feel that this is a FEMA eligible cost.
So, an ice and water shield, that's kind of the same thing as a fortifying the roof, the gutter that's in there?
Yeah, we'll line, the existing gutter that's there, while it's still damaged and deteriorated, we're just gonna line the inside of that with that ice and water shield. And you've seen it, probably, a lot of people have been putting it on houses after the storm.
And so that's an upgrade?
It is an upgrade, yes.
Yeah. So it's a suggested amount of money. What if you don't do the upgrade, don't do the ice and water shield?
Well, the ice and water shield portion is actually a small number for that amount. The issue is because there is a steel gutter in there and stainless steel metal, the concern is the contact of two different metals causes what's called galvanic action. And so that ice and water shield, while it acts as a little bit of a water barrier, it's also separating those two dissimilar metals. And so I would not recommend taking that out.
I'm not either. I'm just pointing out that it's an upgrade that we have to cover.
Yes, sir.
And if we didn't do it, then you replace it with like kind and quality.
Well, to replace that gutter, if you want to actually remove the old gutter.
Yeah.
Because it's
I
not-
yield to
it's
Mr.
not
Ford.
It's not from the storm. This was just damage that was pre-existing that we
Discovered.
So
Yep.
if we don't fix it, it's prone to flood again, and it's subject to continuous deterioration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
But when it was originally built, there was no such thing as an ice and water shield.
I don't believe. This is just a repair method. It's, it probably would be more cost because you have to do some kind of tearing into the roof that's there, just the way it's all connected. So this is kind of the least cost repair.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Stalling you.
So while we're still on this bullet, Dr. Trahan wants to say something here.
Yes.
Pardon me?
So while we're still on this bullet, Dr. Trahan has a comment.
Oh, okay,
I don't know if you
yeah.
were going to the
Welcome.
next.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm well aware that this damage was there before the storm. I've been in the building many times. I know a lot of the teachers, and they were experiencing water leaks because of this for quite some time. And I do know that if we don't get it fixed, the other repairs we're doing will get damaged again. So it's not, if the water's leaking, the other interior repairs is just gonna get the damage
gonna get
again
worse,
if we don't
right.
fix this. So it makes sense to get it done.
That is correct.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting not to do it at all. I'm just trying to understand the change orders.
They're two separate bullets and two separate change orders, just so that we can clearly delineate FEMA eligible costs from the non or not eligible costs. Just in case FEMA questions it later, we can clearly show them separate documentation to save everybody some headaches down the road.
Right, right.
The H.L. Bourgeois, how about that one?
Yeah, at H.L. Bourgeois, there's some, this is for additional wood blocking, and I think I mentioned this last time I was before this committee. At the three, what I call the three outbuildings, the band hall, the weight room, and the music building, we are replacing a fascia panel that currently is an aluminum skinned plywood, which they don't make anymore. And so there's no like-for-like equivalent to that. And so what we're doing in that case is pulling that panel off, replacing it with a metal wall panel. Once we pulled one panel off, we realized that in order to put metal wall panel up, we need some additional 2x4 blocking at the top and bottom so that that panel can be properly secured. It's the plywood panel that's there spans a longer distance, so it's just adding some additional attachment so that we can properly fasten the panel. So this would be an eligible cost, again, because there's no like-for-like. We can't replace it with something that's there. So from a constructability issue, additional framing needs to, or additional blocking, I should say, needs to be installed.
So this was a hurricane damage that was discovered later.
Well, it's the result of having to go with a different material than what's there now. There's no like-for-like comparison.
Okay, all right. So this was in the originals, but it's no, okay, I got you. And that's a set, a 90-10,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Who has Broadmoor? He has,
Houston,
okay. Anything else, any other board members?
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Positano.
Thank you, Mr. Positano.
Mr. Lerat?
What about Broadmoor and South Carolina?
He's coming up.
Oh, okay.
Good evening.
How you doing, sir?
Doing
If-
good,
If you
thank
can
you.
go through the last two bullets there from Broad,
got the one from Broadmoor.
oh, just a Broadmoor. Broadmoor
Broadmoor.
Elementary, okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of explain the change order there, please.
There's one of the main classroom wing, we discovered during the course of the renovation work that there was some damaged metal panels. The roof over that wing it's a shallow pitch metal roof. The damage was not obvious walking around the building. I didn't pick anything up on the damage assessment report. But when we saw a couple of panels that had some damage to it, we got up on the roof and walked it entirely, and we found quite a bit of damage that was, certainly something that needed to be repaired. The type of panel it is, it's a standing seam roof panel. You can't just take one of them off and leave the other one on. And it was like, it wasn't every panel in a row. It might have been one here, one there, 10 there. I counted 60 panels on one half of the roof, and I had somebody else up there with me counting panels on the other side. So the cost for that change order is basically the increase due to having to replace hurricane-related damaged roof panels.
We don't have.
Yeah, but that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, there's no cost.
Yeah.
No cost for Broadmoor?
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, that one's already been done then. Got it.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, well then, the problem then is, sorry about that.
I think the
but
material delay,
is
right.
The
Material
material deliveries, yeah, because
Okay.
obviously the first change order was approved for the replacement of the panels.
Okay.
so.
Anyone, any board members?
So, wait, y'all confused me now.
We already agreed, we already voted
Yeah.
to approve the
change order for the material.
Oh, that was it, okay.
I misunderstood. I thought it needed another explanation for the reason for that first change order, but
So we changed the order to do what you just said.
Yes.
In the previous meeting,
yes, sir.
and now you need an extra 126 days to complete
To
the job.
get the panels delivered and the job done.
There's no effect on the cost at all.
And there's no cost increase. So it's just a contractual extension of time, so we don't have to assess liquidated damages, because the purpose of the extension is because of the delivery of the panels.
I'm just gonna throw, yeah, is there a penalty in the contract that says if you go beyond the contract date,
Correct.
then, yeah, so basically you're asking us to forgive the penalty?
Correct. It's not a monetary impact on the school system, so.
No, it'd be a monetary impact on y'all
On us, well, we have to, yeah,
if we didn't
extend
grant-
our-
if we don't
our
grant it,
service,
then
correct,
You
yeah.
still gotta go to April 9th.
yes. Periodic observations and that sort of thing,
And the contract says they'll finish it by December 5th.
yes.
Y'all got that?
Oh, yeah, we are.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. LeRae.
Leroy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And then the final bullet, I think, is Mr. Merlin. Is he here?
Yes, you do that.
Okay. Now, this one I'm not happy with.
Good evening, board members. Merlin Leary with the Merlin Group. This change order has two portions to it. The first one being the floor tile in the restrooms of the gymnasium. We're talking about the gymnasium project here. The tile, it's a 1 inch by 1 inch. You make these old floor tiles they used to have in restrooms, 1 by 1, like a mosaic, they called it at some point. The mortar beds, it was so much moisture in the building over time, the last couple years, and now that the building is being dried out, the mortar is releasing from that floor tile and causing it to pop up. A&R Floor Tile, who's been doing numerous renovations to other buildings in the area since the serum, has seen this happen in various buildings throughout where that old type of tile is starting to release from the mortar bed. So they're recommending, there's 2 or 3 spots where it's actually popped up about 6 or 8 inches, and when you tap on it, you can feel hollow spots around it. So they're recommending that we take the whole floor tile, we just talk about the floor tile, not the walls, because there was a good bit amount of moisture on that. Taking those out and replacing those with a 2 by 2 tile that's more readily available now. And then the second part of the change order, when they were flushing out one of the drains in the one of the restrooms, they found a bad pipe, and that was like $1,400 or so part of the rate. The biggest cost of this is the floor tile.
Now, this is just in the restrooms, you said, or this?
Right, in the restrooms, correct.
Okay. So on top of that, again, just upsetting that we're in February now, you know. I know what it is, but just trying to get that gym up and ready. And basketball season will be pretty much over in February, huh? Yep. Okay. Nothing against you, just saying.
No, I
It's just
understand, I
upsetting,
mean,
yeah.
so, yeah.
Dr. Troy, you have anything, or any other board members? Yes, Mr. Ford?
So the 2 by 2 tile is considered in-kind replacement because the 1-in-1 is.
Right, yeah. Yeah, there's no, I mean, the 1 by 1, I don't know if it's even available now from what according to A&R, but the 2 by 2, I mean, the cost is basically the same, and it's on a square foot basis. It's just a matter of this, when you physically look at the size of the tile, it'll be 2 inches by 2 inches instead of 1 by 1 inch.
Thank you.
Okay, Merlin, your turn to get put on the spot.
All right, go ahead.
All right, you said you'd seen this kind of damage before, right?
That's what A&R has told me. I'm seeing it for the first time on my project. I wasn't involved with the projects they were talking about.
Okay, so they've seen it before,
Yes.
so why wasn't it, or in the, suggested that we do this from the get-go?
It hadn't popped up before. Now that the building has been dried out for the last 8 months or so, being dried out, it's starting to release. That's what they're telling me. So, I mean, it wasn't raised up when we were doing our inspections. You know, but I mean, at the drains where it's the biggest areas where the water was holding is where it's coming up. I mean, so, yeah. So they say they've seen it in other locations that they've been working on. I have not. This is the first time I've seen it.
Okay, so it's their fault.
No, it's not their fault. No. I'm saying they've repaired other buildings where they've seen this type of tile also pop up because once you start airing out the building and drying it out, the moisture is being released and it's releasing the mortar bed that this tile is put on is releasing.
Yeah, I get that, yeah. But they've seen it before and didn't anticipate that it was gonna happen again?
Well, I mean, they wasn't the contractor involved at the time, so, yeah, I mean, they got, when the job was bid, they got involved after the job was bid, so.
And so, again, you're asking for the completion date to go from January 30th to February 11th?
Yeah, I think they were asking for 12 additional days for that, right.
Again, so the penalties in there don't get charged?
Well,
If we approve, if the board approves the change order from the date, then the days over don't get.
well, then the official contract date, substantial completion date would be February 11th. If they exceed that date, then, the liquidated damages can be
Well, it
assessed.
says completion date from January 30th to February 11th.
Right, they're asking for the 12 additional days because of additional work to be done. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's FEMA reimbursed 90/10.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Merlin.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, so any objections by the committee?
None.
Okay, so, motion passes. Number 4, consideration of approval of change orders for Hurricane Ida recovery projects, and that's by Volkert. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the following change orders for Hurricane Ida recovery projects and authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move, Mr. Harding. Second, Dr. Trahan. Any public comments? Do we want them to come up? Okay. No public comments? Okay, so any other board members?
I would like these change orders explained as well.
Okay, so Mulberry Elementary? Your turn.
And it says I've been up there already.
All right, good evening again. Andy Positeri with GFP Architecture. At Mulberry Elementary School, this change order is for the replacement of damaged casework, bookcase, floor-to-ceiling bookcases along one entire wall of a classroom. Again, as the contractor started demolishing, he noticed some damage that wasn't originally evident. Water damage that caused some warping to some of the wood. So in one of our recent OAC owner architect contractor meetings, we pointed it out. Does need to be replaced. It is storm damage, and so the cost to replace that entire run of casework is $23,420. Again, it is subject to the what I'll call the 90-10 split for FEMA because it is storm damage.
And this one's not gonna delay Mulberry from being finished.
No, sir, they did not request any additional time for this particular change.
Good? All right. Houma Junior High?
I
Got
can
you?
read the rest of them if you want.
Okay, no, I'm good. If you need an explanation, or you good?
I'm good on Houma Junior High and Berg.
Okay, all right, so any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 5, consideration of approval of substantial completion of the building repairs project at Caldwell Middle and Gibson Elementary Schools. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the substantial completion dated December 7, 2023 for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Caldwell Middle and Gibson Elementary Schools, subject to the punch list. Upon completion of the punch list and final inspection, balancing change order and receipt of the lien-free certificate, authorize the release of retainage, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So moved, Dr. Traha. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Dr. Traha?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding?
Yeah, that's the question I need to ask. Since we, the last meeting that we had, that we closed Gibson Elementary School. So I guess my question is exactly how much money do we actually spend on repairing Gibson Elementary School if we closed it?
Would that be a,
I don't have that number tonight. I can get it to you, sir. And it's one of those things, why, if we're closing it, because we just have to get the building
Right.
sealed up and
right?
for whatever happens beyond school.
Right.
It was minimal, but I'll get you the cost.
Yeah, I think that's something that, me, as a representative of that area, that didn't really support that measure, that, I just wanted, just curious exactly how much money did we spend down there? Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Harding. Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 6, consideration of approval of bids received for the building repair project at Evergreen Junior High. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Evergreen Junior High from Freetown Builders LLC, 313 Garden Street, Lafayette, Louisiana, 70501, in the amount of $1,123,000, and establish a total project budget in the amount of $1,238,626. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $1,114,763.40, and local funds, $123,862.60, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move, Dr. Traha. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Dr. Traha?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding? Any other board members?
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Ford?
So I know they've been doing some repair work on the building up until this point, and they had split it off into 2 different sections. So I'm wondering, what exactly is this one for? Is this covering all the repairs, including what's already been done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they were just kind of proactive in getting stuff done in there before. Does this include the gymnasium ceiling tiles?
You want to come up and speak to that? Please, thank you.
My name's Grant Wagensback. I work for Duplantis Design Group. Yes, this portion of the work is for all the interior items. So it does include the gym, the roof,
And the 300?
Or ceiling,
the
excuse me.
300 hall in the back that?
300, and the shop band building.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Ms. Benoit?
I had the same question.
Okay, so we got any other board members? Any objections? Thank you, sir. Hearing none, motion passes. Number 7, consideration of approval of bids received from the building repair project at Oak Lawn Middle and Schriever Elementary Schools. Don't go too far. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Oak Lawn Middle School and Schriever Elementary Schools from BET Construction, Inc., P.O. Box 5658, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70302, in the amount of $534,879. Accept alternate number 1 to replace additional floor tiles not ruined by Hurricane Ida in the amount of $75,885, and establish a total project budget in the amount of $679,738. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds of $536,018, and local funds $143,720, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move, Dr. Traha. Second, Mr. Harding. Public comments? Dr. Trahan?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding? If you want to come up again, please. So the one that said it's not ruined by Hurricane Ida, so that's the 75,885 plus the 10% of the other, is that what that is? Okay, of the 679,000, okay. And that's where the 143 comes for us. Okay,
Can I comment on that one?
Yes, sir.
And I think, Brandon, you can verify this. So the storm had some damaged floor tiles, so those were covered through FEMA, but if you do just partial change outs, you're
Right.
left with a mosaic-looking floor. So we want to
Just do the
do
whole
it
thing.
right
It
and
look
get
good.
them all done throughout the school, so that's what that is.
And this is, yeah, and you, you're right. The additional flooring would be, like in some of the buildings, most of the rooms got changed out because of the storm. So this would take like the hallway and maybe like in the last room of the building. So it's definitely to make sure that the floor throughout the buildings all look the same, brand
it
new.
enhances the
Color.
look, because
Yeah.
we need that. We do.
We do.
Yep. Any other board
That's little
members?
point.
I'm excited for opening one up.
Yeah, it's time, yes, okay. All right, thank you, sir. Any objections?
No, sir.
Hearing none, motion passes. Number 8, consideration of approval of statements and qualifications received for architectural services. The committee recommends that the board approve and accept the statements of qualifications meeting all specifications for architectural services, establishing a pool of architects to include the architectural firms listed below, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. And there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 of them there for you guys to see. So move, Dr. Traha. Second, Mr. Harding. Any public comments? Dr. Traha?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding? Any other board members? Mr. Ford?
If I'm not mistaken, this comes around once a year, correct? So is it possible to do a little bit longer than that? I mean, I don't think much changes in a year, and sometimes the projects they're on are 2 or 3 years. Could we do
Can you speak to that? How long is it? 3 years?
It's an old
3
Every
years?
3 years.
So it's been 3 years since we did this? Oh, my God.
You've been here too long, Mr. Ford.
Thank you.
Literally. Ms. Benoit?
Thank you. So this I don't know if, I guess maybe I don't remember the 3 years ago about this whole list, but is there a particular reason why we're going to Lafayette and Baton Rouge and New Orleans for some of these people? I mean,
We just opened it up.
who
Yeah.
developed the list, though?
They submitted to us, and we scrutinized them. I say we, Ms. Bro and Ally, I think, and we
Yeah.
scrutinized, see if the qualifications were, in adherence to the guidelines, and
Okay.
they all were.
So,
we kept them all, basically.
that's what I was going to ask. So were any not approved? These,
I think
this,
13 is submitted, or 13 received.
Yeah,
okay,
They all qualified. Yes, ma'am.
okay.
yeah, very good. Anyone else? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 9, consideration of approval of surplus property located at the rear of 1124 St. Charles Street, Houma, Louisiana, Old Terrebonne High School baseball field behind South Down Elementary School. The committee recommends that the board declare vacant property, approximately 5 acres of land located at the rear of 1124 St. Charles Street, Old Terrebonne High School baseball field behind South Down Elementary School as surplus. Authorize the superintendent to have the property surveyed and/or appraised. Authorize the sale of said property in accordance with applicable laws, all transactions subject to board attorney review and approval, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So moved, Dr. Traha. Second, Mr. Harding. Public comments? Dr. Traha?
No, sir.
Mr. Harding? Mr. Ogeron, do you want to speak on it? No? Any other board members? Yes, Mr. Ford?
I do have a concern with this property. When it was brought up before, I mentioned it, and I'm going to bring it up again at the board meeting, but I have no problem with declaring it surplus and sold, but I'd like to have in the verbiage of the recommendation something stating what the monies collected from that will be used towards. And I think it should be used towards the high and middle schools, athletic and grounds. So I'd like to see that. I don't know if it needs to be in the verbiage, or if we have just a fund that it can go to where we can pull from that. So could it go to building fund, and then we'd have that in there? Okay, so I'm not on the committee, so I can't make a recommendation for a substitute motion, but at the board meeting, I will.
yeah.
Yeah,
You can do that at the board meeting.
okay.
That's fair.
All right, thank you.
Any other board members? Hey, Mr. Don, how you doing? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 10, matter bearing upon update of Hurricane Ida response, Mr. Ryan Smith, Volkart. Hi.
Sorry, Ryan cannot make it today.
Okay.
I'm Paul Marchand with Volkert. Ryan and I work together on this project. Before you have your program dates and your calendar that we distribute as well. But what I was going to touch on today is the percentage completes. And it's usually the schedule doesn't really substantiate what kind of percentage is complete. So I'll just kind of give you a rundown of each project. We have Acadian Elementary that has about a 95% completion. They have only a canopy remaining to be installed, completed. We're looking at a substantial completion of December 26, pending a walkthrough and a punch list. Coteau Bayou Blue, we're looking at about 90% complete. There's only 2 items remaining on that, some millwork and some signage. That will be a substantial completion around January the 9th. Village East and Coteau Bayou Blue both have a pipe insulation issue that they're being addressed over the holidays by Ritter and Associates. That'll get those projects available to be complete. East Homa, again, is a 95% complete rate. 2 things that are waiting as a metal fascia and some gutters. Legion Park is about a 75 to 80% chance or completion, and this week they received the flooring material. Usually when you get the flooring material, you have that being installed, you're usually close to completion. And this one as well, we're looking at a January 9th of substantial completion. Legion Park, Coteau Blue, Village East, all in the same contractor, so those will have they're all under the same contract, so we're looking at all the same, similar completion date and substantial completion. Honduras are just getting kicked off. We actually have a pre-construction meeting and contractor mobilizing. NTP is expected around the January 8th date. Acadian Modular, same thing, pre-construction and the contract documents are being generated for execution. Elysian Fields, is under contract execution, and issue date for a notice to proceed will be around January the 2nd. So that'll start off the new year. Berg Elementary, 90% complete. Canopy installation and roof repair. Went by there today, that looks great. New bus canopy, all the footings are in, posts are in. Just looking for the covers. And that is, substantial completion is scheduled for December 26th, pending an architect walkthrough and punch list generation. So then we have Upper Little Caillou is under pre-construction. This is the demo portion, pre-construction, and to commence in the area of January the 24th. Will that be? There have been just get everything together. I think they're just waiting to get through the holidays on that one.
For the demolition, you're saying January?
The demo, January 24th to commence.
Wait, that done? Upper Little Caillou?
Yeah, it keeps getting pushed back too.
Yeah, but it goes through 2027 though, before it's even completed. Is that kind of what we're looking
Yeah,
at?
that's a different project. Oh, that'll be the build. Those will be the rebuild.
Yeah,
27.
yeah, that's gonna be a long time. Those kids will be graduated high school.
Yeah. West Park is, this week, one item is being done to be 100% complete on this job, would be a glass installation. Same thing, substantial completion, pending a punch list and a walkthrough. January the 4th is what it's slated as now. You just heard today that Caldwell Middle and Gibson are complete. Today's recommendation only puts in a 45-day lien-free period, but their punch list is complete. Evergreen Junior High, we have a roof contract in place. The NTP has been submitted for that. The interior is just bid, so that would be the contract documents. We're still inside the 10-day period to have those complete. Mulberry, Andy gave you a little bit of Mulberry. Mulberry is sort of about, the difference between the time spent and completed. We're pushing around 35% calendar time, but we only have about 20% done. A lot of that is going to be on the roof. Once the roof gets delivered, it'll exponentially progress. That substantial completion is not until April of 2024. It says 23 on here. Sorry about that. Andrew Price is really going along well. They've done all the ceiling work and the portables of 1 and 2. They're working on the main building with the electrical replacement. Mr. John, Mr. Sammy, came in there and got a lot of that stuff out of the way. I'm not sure if y'all familiar with Andrew Price, but it's kind of harboring a lot of old material. So that helped out, got a lot of stuff out of the way. The substantial completion is not till May of 2024, which I believe we're going to be a early completion on that. Homer Junior High, y'all know, as you know, the roof completion was this past year, and now we're doing the interior work. They've mobilized, and they've been doing some night work on the HVAC cleaning and inspections, so that helped out a lot with, and then the change order to add extra time was just to get them out of school. So we were ending like right at middle May, June.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you gave everybody else problems with that. And Terrebonne High School, they've got quite a bit done. So we've got some submittals we got to get reviewed and approved. One was being lighting, and then they've been allowed to do a lot of plaster work on that old building. I'm not sure if any other places have a lot of plaster work, but Terrebonne, they've done a really good job on the plaster work, and they'll probably be doing some painting over the holidays. So,
I know
That's
these
all
are
right.
projected times, which we hope we hit, but again, I'm a little confused. Ellender is enormous. Am I reading this correctly, 2026?
Ellender is still going to be in the different phase.
Okay, because, I mean, if
Because
I'm
you're still in, we still have some FEMA.
This is a remove and replace building by the
Yeah.
second part of 26, and Upper Localia is way past 27, so I'm not reading it right there.
Mr. Watson, this is probably reversed. If you were able to start design on Upper Localia, you would say January. Typical design schools can last about 8 months.
Okay.
Get you about August, about a mid time, early fall. There's potential, everything here with FEMA, potential kind of go up to about August 26th. That allows you for a substantial amount of time for typical construction. Ellender is still under FEMA. Last I heard just today, just estimated, there's no definitive thing.
Right.
Could go all the way into summer before FEMA's done with that. No idea when that could be.
Right.
It could be tomorrow, it could be whenever.
So those two
But that
flip-flop.
one, there's no design, there's no demo, nothing started at that one. That one would go on probably into 2027.
Thanks for clarifying that, appreciate
And
it.
that's just our estimates.
Yeah,
Don't
again,
get a schedule,
projected.
historical knowledge.
Any committee members? Any other board members? Yes.
I need to make a statement here real quick. I want to apologize to all my architect friends for putting y'all on the spot. I had to think of something to stall until my committee member got here. And that was the only reason I was asking all those dumb questions.
So now he's blaming you, Mike.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Crowdis.
So on the Upper Little Caillou project, that's still a FEMA holdup as well?
The rebuild, yes, sir.
No, the rebuild's not.
No.
The Upper Localia, the demo is working right now. The design hasn't started yet. The district is still working through some stuff that are there for the enrollment counts. They're close to finalizing all that, so we can start into the design, the programming design phase. But FEMA's not the holdup on Poplar.
Only on Ellen.
Just on Ellendale.
Allender. Is that our only school that we have a holdup on? Yeah. Okay.
Ours.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
I also wanted to address one real quick thing. If it suits the board later on, I know y'all have decisions to make, but one of the things we've been looking at and we discussed with the superintendent and Ms. Bro is a scaling down of our workforce. Last couple of months, we've been talking about all the different activities kind of going on, particularly trying to get everything. I've made a big point of when things are going to come out to bid and done with design. It's difficult to take a person off of something when they've been through the whole design process. So through all of that, starting this month, it's only really 1 p.m., and that's why you see Paul up here, not Ryan, who will be doing our services, at least in the near time, unless, something really big builds up or something like that. So just so y'all know, otherwise, that's why Paul was up here speaking tonight. And so Haley, who we did administrative work, Paul is going to be handling all that work, because really it'll be at a minimal at this point. And Ryan is still somewhat involved, but there's no charge going to happen for anything on Ryan's part. So it should be a considerable scaling down, and I think that goes in line with some conversations I had with Ms. Bro and Mr. Orgeron. So just want to let y'all know that.
Thank you. Number 11, matter bearing upon update of Hurricane Ida. Mr. Lee?
Good evening, Curtis Lee with HGI. Tonight, I want to give you guys a summary of our projects for the month of December, and I'd like to start on page 2 of the documents that you have before you. Of the 22 facilities that were assigned to HGI, 8 of those facilities are elementary schools. The one that is highlighted in blue there, Bayou Elementary, that one is completed. The other schools that are highlighted in blue, those actually have not started. So that's the reason for that blue highlight indication there in your legend. But moving on to the second elementary school with Broadmoor, you guys heard tonight from Mr. Houston Lorette, but in terms of the construction that was under the awarded contract and that FEMA scope of work, that work has gone well. That contractor was a very good performer, and we're at 95% completion. And I don't have anything bad that we could say about our working with that contractor at that facility. I won't go through each one, but I do want to point out several of them that I think are important that you guys would like to know for your respective districts. Dularge is at 80%, as you guys can see. Lisa Park is at 10%. That one just got started, and you all awarded some things for Lisa Park within the last 45 to 60 days. Over at Montague, where we're 15% complete, that contract was packaged with the middle school, so that percentage of completion is low, but that contractor means and methods was to focus on the middle school where there was a majority of the work to be performed. But there is some major work that will be taking place at this elementary school across the Christmas break that is requiring them to do that work when the building is vacated, because they have to do some abatement in the cafeteria, which would shut down the food service and be, a hazardous area that no one could be in. So those documents have been submitted to Louisiana Department of DEQ. It's my understanding as of last Friday that they will be able to start that work on the 21st or the 22nd with their setup to actually get started with abatement around the 23rd. So they're going to work across the Christmas, New Year's break to have that fully abated and turned back over. And so the percentages for the elementary school for the month of January will drastically jump from there. Grand Caillou Elementary, you guys probably remember from last month that there was a recommendation from Mr. Merlin on the demolition, and the pre-construction documents have been submitted, and we've been reviewing insurances and all of those things from the contractor. Moving on to the middle schools, we have 3 middle schools assigned to HGI. Grand Caillou Middle, that one has been substantially complete since this summer. Instruction and regular operation has not been impeded. There is just some very minor exterior things that are still on the substantial completion punch list that contractor is getting around to, but it doesn't impede any functions of the school. Montague Middle, happy to let you guys know, and I can't remember if I reported this last month, but the front door has been replaced and fully functional for about
Saw
3
that.
weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. And if I might, I want to deviate just for a second because Andy did a great job speaking about that. I think a few of you made mention with that particular change order that we were asking on that design, it has already had some impact on the contractor working in there that's had to replace some insulation and some floor tile and some ceiling tile, excuse me, not floor tile, but ceiling tile and insulation because of that leak at, and it's really around classroom 204 and it spreads there, and they've replaced those while they've been on site at no additional cost or change orders to us. So it will impact the warranty period of this particular school, you know, if it's not addressed. For the high schools, excuse me, I skipped Oaklawn Middle. So Oaklawn Middle being our last middle school, and Oaklawn Middle tonight was agenda item number 7, and you guys heard about the alternative as well, which would not only help, as the superintendent say, to have one consistent floor tile in there, but even in my opinion, to possibly give you guys some equity in that building when you guys get it reassessed for insurance purposes and bring some value back to you there on the perk.
And it says here you're gonna you're gonna have a pre-construction meeting for the roof
Yes, ma'am. So,
soon? Hallelujah. I've been waiting for that forever.
yes, ma'am. Yep. So that material has been on order, permits have been
That's great
submitted,
news.
and they're planning on starting that work sometime in January. Because the contractor that has that school also has an elementary school, and they'll be doing the roofing systems simultaneously. With the high schools, H.L. Bourgeois, it's 60% complete. And Andy spoke to the school and some updates on the change order tonight. With South Terrebonne High School, this is specifically to the gymnasium, which Houston and Lorette spoke about as well tonight, for the boys and girls restrooms on the outside of the actual basketball court. And so that's a 70% complete to the spectator gym contract. The same contractor has all the other remaining facilities. So the ramp up for that, with them already being on site, is expedited, and we're going to be getting started on the facilities as well. So there'll be some very lengthy work taking place at that school for the next foreseeable future, and I'll touch on that in a little bit when we cover the schedule. The skilled areas for Fletcher facility, Lewis Miller, and School for Exceptional Children, those are really no changes from November to December, but the design is still underway with the architect. And we are making those design changes to the front office for Lewis Miller for more safety and control of traffic flow. And you guys may be aware of those things. And so at the point that this is finished, I think the architect will probably come forward and share those things with you all so you can see what you'll be getting. And then with the administrative buildings, the same contractor has all 4 of your facilities. So there's quite a bit of work that's taking place at those facilities as well. And we will be coming up on some of those in the middle of January with the completion of the facilities for the contractor with the Terrebonne administrative buildings. Now, if I may, I want to touch on a question that I heard earlier. When we talk about contracts and days in the contract, hopefully if this is helpful, during the design and during the scope defining of work tied to the hurricane, the FEMA software, the architect, and the other professionals that they consult with, the engineers, there is a set amount of days during that process for how long that work should take. That is put out in the preliminary documents, and the contractors who bid on that work are aware that's their window or period of performance to execute that work. And so any changes outside of that scope that they did not bid on rightfully should come with, if they deem it, a certain amount of days for that new scope that they had not prepared and bid and come up with a means and methods to execute. So where we have a contractor that may say, hey, we don't need any additional days as we have for one, we can do that within the window that we have, then that's great. In cases where the scope is large or the lead time to get that material is long and lengthy, then that's a fair and justified cost to not penalize that contractor for something that we did not ask them to do based off of things that were unforeseeable or that were not exposed at the time of the design and the damage assessment, if that's helpful. So in summary, that ends page 2, which gives you guys a status. I'd like for you all to flip over to page 4, which is the anticipated schedule. There's one error here, and forgive me, on Montague Middle, which is row number 11. I showed that the completion is April of 2025, and that's a typo. It's actually the same as the middle school for April 2024, but that contractor has been performing ahead of schedule, and they're actually going to be finished with this school where you guys will have some days left over. Maybe they might be finished as much as a month and a half early based off of how we're tracking right now. Okay, so I just wanted to bring up that one schedule. This particular comprehensive schedule of all of our facilities, and there are some updates to put in here because we've had some awarded contracts and some recommendations to you all that will change after tonight and after the board meeting in January. But this particular schedule shows that our next round of schools will be finishing with Montague's elementary and middle the beginning of the first quarter of 2024. The next round of schools will be finishing across the summer of 2024. And then our longest construction schedule, which is our biggest scope, which is South Terrebonne High School, will go well into 2025. Okay? And with that being said, just as a total summary, I gave you guys the first page tonight as a bullet point to let you all know of the 22 facilities that we have. We're calling 2 of those complete. One is 100% complete. The other one is substantially complete. 15 of those are under construction. I gave you guys the anticipated bid dates for the 3 that I'm calling the special or skilled facilities. So that would cover Fletcher, Lewis Miller, and School for Exceptional Children for anticipated bids once those designs are finished in early 2024. And that brings a total of these projects that are under construction or that have already been completed to just over $40 million that we are managing. And of that, the monies that we have approved for you all to pay out totals about 7% of that number. Now, there are a few payouts that are pending, so that number will change. But roughly, what the takeaway is for the end of this year is that we're less than 10% of completion of that $40 million number. And so that work will carry into next year, and a large portion of that will carry into 2025 with South Terrebonne High. The breakdown for those things I won't go over, but that is what is provided for you guys if you want a little more detail. Of course, you guys already know because you've seen those things at the board meetings and in this committee when you have approved certain contracts that have been awarded, but this gives you a further breakdown of how we came up with that number from our standpoint of what we're tracking. And this is based solely off of awarded contracts. That's what we're tracking.
Any committee
questions?
members? Dr. Trahan?
Sir?
Anything?
No, sir. You did a great
Mr.
job.
Mr. Harding?
So Lee, looking at the South Terrebonne High School gymnasium, I think Mr. Leroy just came in and asked for extension. So I guess the completion of the gym is not going to be in January, it's going to be moved to February, right?
February, yes, sir, February 11th is what we're showing now. If you guys agree to that, and once that is changed and amended, then we'll update.
Okay,
And that recommendation was tonight, so that's why it's not reflected yet.
okay. And Mr. Ogeron, did we get, maybe I missed it, I think Mr. Lee's given us, is 2025 South Terrebonne?
Yes, sir,
That's the school?
that's the school.
Okay, so basically, it's going to basically be refurbished, right? Basically.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're saying 2025, do we have any particular time in 2025, or is it December 2025, March?
Yes, sir. So right now, what we're working on is to try to stay in alignment with, if I'm not speaking out of turn, with the contract on the portables that are being rented, because we understand, that is something that we want to try to stay within. The contractor has given us, because of the magnitude, a schedule for about 90 days right now, and they want to update us once we get a little further into construction because of how big this project is. So they're not able to, with 100% accuracy, give us a schedule all the way into 2025 and tell us we're going to be at this point, at this particular day, that far out, due to the complexity and the scope. So we're going to do them in about, at least for right now, 90 days at a time.
Okay, all right, so basically, sometime in 2025, what you're saying then?
That
In
is-
conjunction with the marginal buildings, what you're referring to, because I think we, under contract, a certain amount of period of time with that, right?
That date is based off of the contract period of performance days set, as I was explaining earlier, by the architect, Mr. Merlin Lorette. So that's where we fall out into that 2025 number that they have to finish the work.
Okay, and when you're talking about 2025, you're talking about the gymnasium also too?
The
Because
gymnasium
there's
will
two
be-
gymnasiums, I mean,
Yes, sir. The spectator gym will be finished February of 2024. The other gymnasium is in with all the remaining facilities, and that will be complete within that window. Now, it may be finishing online and available for athletics well before, that point in 2025. I'd have to get back with you guys and find out exactly when they think that would be brought online.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members? Thank you, Mr. Lee. You explained it very well. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. And on behalf of HGI, Merry Christmas to you all.
Same to you. Number 12, matter bearing upon architect and engineer updates, Mr. Ogeron. Superintendent Ogeron.
Okay, I think that was to give out to any architects
Oh,
to speak
okay.
on any projects. I think they've done a thorough job of
I think we've been there, done that.
All right, fantastic. Okay, and 13, Mr. Poisson. Is he here? Oh, he was hiding.
It's gonna be the short version again. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Nice seeing you. We'll see you next year.
See you next year.
This past month, we've had, wasn't prepared, I can't see it. We've had 298 work order requests. We had 12 pending, 75 are open and on time, and completed, we completed 215 requests out of those. Everything else is going good. Any questions?
Don't look at me.
I was going to wish you good luck on your new endeavor.
Sorry, Mr. Poisson. You done, or any questions, any board members?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Mr. Ogeron, I believe this gentleman is here to do an update as architect. That's what Ms. Sandy's saying. That would be Mr. Robert, maybe?
Robert
Utley? Yep. Did you want to come up and?
Is it,
doing after projects with you. My name's Robert Utley, Castles Goodwin Utley Engineers. We're here in Terrebonne Parish. We're doing 2 projects with you, of which one is Oak Lawn. The total on that one, contract sum is $3,396,623.71. So they got really technical down on the penny on that job. That job's ongoing. It's progressing quite well. The contractor's got most all of his equipment in. We are coordinating with Orchestrate and DDG on their projects that are ongoing there. And we're trying to kind of align the work there so that the students are interrupted as little as possible. So we've had these meetings that coordinate that. And it's all been working real well. They're very professional firms, very easy to work with, and that seems to be working well. They have finished a few of the buildings on campus already. They are moving quite quickly, and we don't expect them to go past their time on this project. We're probably going to come back to you maybe next month with a change order on this, which is going to be a credit change order. So it's in the good direction. So, but I just wanted to kind of let you know, we'll be probably looking at something along the lines of that, so there won't be too much trouble with a change order if it's a credit. They are going to be doing some work ongoing during Christmas, so that's been coordinated, and they're going to be getting into that. It's just an ongoing project. They've taken a building at a time. The principal's been very, very well in providing rooms and space for them to do the work in, and enough to get the work done in a timely manner. So I know the contractor's been greatly appreciating his effort in doing that. So we're just kind of going along and picking a building at a time. If something's going on with this one and Orchestrate's doing something in their area, we may switch to that building so that we have the work going on at the same time, so the students are impacted less.
Right.
So that's the plan, and that's the way we've been trying to work it. Any questions on Oak Lawn at this time?
Dr. Traha?
I know before you all started working, the units inside the classrooms, actually the doors were having trouble staying closed. I actually had one fall on a student. Are those units inside the classroom being repaired and replaced?
The units inside the classrooms are actually all being removed in the end.
Removed. Well, that's good too.
Yeah, they're all gonna, won't be any more doors falling off because there's not gonna be any more
Because
units
I
in
went
there.
I went a few times, Oak Lawn's one of my schools, and I saw the door actually taped with blue tape.
Yeah.
And I had a parent call me once that a child was sitting, the door didn't hit him, but when it fell, he was sitting his desk not far from it. And that really brought up a lot of concern on my part. But those are being removed.
Yes, ma'am. They're gonna be going, yeah, you're correct. There's those are some very old units, and
Yeah,
it's
so they're
great that they're being
not gonna be a
replaced.
problem anymore, they're gone.
Right, they're
Good.
being held together with duct tape, so.
Yes, well, actually, it was blue painter's tape.
So, yeah,
What's up there?
I've got to give Sammy some credit on that. And the people he's got working with him on maintaining that equipment is of quite an age, and to keep it running as long as he has shows a lot of effort in doing that, so. But it's good that it's being replaced.
Thank you, yes, I've been really waiting for that to happen. Thank you, Mr. Bose.
Mr. Ford?
I have a question, but not for this architect in particular. Actually, Virgis Rome. I wanted to get a status on the Terrebonne High School. I have a lot of people asking about that, and there's some concerns
here
about
tonight?
restrooms.
He's not here.
So I didn't see him. That's what I was hoping that.
Maybe we need to send him an invitation.
Yeah. So
I saw him today.
I just want to know kind of where they stand, because there are concerns about the restrooms in other areas.
I'd be interested to know too.
And I'm trying to encourage people that we're doing a full refurbishment. It's just,
Just
taking
takes a
time.
little time, yeah.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Any other board members?
Okay, anything else on Oak Lawn?
No, sir.
This Elysian is the other school that we're working with on ESSER, and we've met on it. They are waiting on some equipment still on it. They've got almost everything in. The problem with ESSER is the type of the building it is. It doesn't really allow for opening the corridors because there's no sub-roof above it. So in doing that, they're really gonna have to wait and they're trying to get stuff done along right now. They're working this Christmas and they work during Thanksgiving. But they can't just take the ceiling out while kids are in there because there's nothing above it. So they're gonna have to wait until the summer to get the majority of all this work done. And they've got to rush and get it done during the summer. So there's not a lot of work gonna be seen going on. It's gonna be kind of hidden work so far on this school. Okay?
Anything else,
Thank
Mr.
you all.
Utley? Thank you, Mr. Utley.
You.
There being no further business for the BFT, the meeting is adjourned.